Hello everybody, hope you guys are enjoying your day. Today we're going to be looking at this big severe weather event which is going to be going on over areas into southern Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, through southern Ohio and into Arkansas and Missouri, as well as a little bit there of the deep south and the Gulf states as well. But mainly it'll be for those areas that I just circled in. These areas will be getting quite a bit of damaging wind, hail, and maybe even a couple of sporadic tornadoes popping up here and there. Doesn't look to be too crazy in terms of tornadoes, in terms of very strong tornadoes. I think there will be multiple tornadoes. I just don't think they'll be extremely strong, but definitely nonetheless, it's going to be one of your your earlier severe weather events. And as we continue to get on throughout the severe weather season, we'll continue to track many more severe weather events just like this. I have a couple of graphics at the end of the video for you guys to see, so you can definitely wait all the way until the end of the video, and I'll show you those graphics. So here is the current National Weather Service page. We have flood watches over parts into Southern California, into Western Arizona, and into southeasternmost areas of Nevada. I did make a video on that 2 days ago. It's called Southwest Storm, so you can go check that out. It's on my channel, and I go a lot more in depth on what's going to happen over there. So if you are from that area, definitely go check out that video, and I time out your forecast for that. Now, winter storm watches and winter weather advisories for Montana and into Wyoming. You actually have a big Arctic blast that's going to come in, and this is actually going to aid in some of your severe weather activity. You're going to have your boundary set up where you're going to get some actually really cold air to move through on the backside of this front. You also have this building ridge of high pressure to the east over the southeast. You're seeing some very, very warm air being pumped in because of this high pressure. As you get this big upper level trough to develop, you're actually going to get some severe weather to develop on this on the where these two converge. You'll actually get some severe weather. So really, when you get severe weather, you want to look for where your two different air masses collide, your warm and your cold air. That'll let those air particles rise, and that'll also lead to some severe weather. Now, we also have some winter storm watches over areas into Nebraska, as well as some red flag warnings where you've actually been seeing quite a bit of severe weather activity or fire weather danger over these areas through the central part of the United States, continuing there for Nebraska and South Dakota, where you do have some red flag warnings again, and even severe thunderstorm watches in advance of this potential tornado outbreak over areas into Mississippi and Alabama. So here's what the Weather Prediction Center is putting out as far as their surface analysis map. They currently have a big, deep low pressure system that's over areas into Oklahoma. We also have a secondary low pressure system that's kind of dragging along through the Appalachians of West Virginia. It's going to be moving to the east, but your main low pressure system will be out here near Oklahoma. You're also going to be seeing another one in Wisconsin. This is going to be the one that kind of moves to the north, and this is going to be dragging along this this band of moisture that's going to stretch actually at some points all the way from California to areas into northern Quebec and Ontario. So it's going to be very, very expansive frontal system that'll be bringing a lot of moisture along with it. Now, here is your current radar from the National Weather Service, and you do see a couple of cells here, and this is going to be for more of the shorter term. You're seeing this severe weather over Alabama, Mississippi. I do think as you get tomorrow, your bigger threat is going to be over these areas that I did mention in the beginning of the video again. So you do see actually some pretty good sporadic thunderstorms. Definitely you want to check out the National Weather Service radar. If you do live in these areas, it'll give you a good indication. Those oranges, yellows, reds indicating very, very, very heavy rain. So definitely you can go check that out. It's for free on their website, and gives you a good idea of where your thunderstorms are lining up, and it's definitely a good idea if you do live in Mississippi or Alabama, because you will be in the way of this severe weather. Now, let's start getting into your storm prediction center and what they're showing. So for today, they have a slight risk over, again, Alabama, Mississippi, and previously in the day, this would be for Arkansas. Tornado risk 2%, so nothing too crazy there. Sorry about that. They refresh the website every 5 minutes in case they have to make any updates. Now, for wind, you have about 15% chance there over that same area in the yellow, and then hail 15% chance for basically the same area again. Now, here's for tomorrow, which would be Thursday. Now, you have a larger area of slight risk there, marginal risk surrounding, and general thunderstorms reaching fairly far to the north, probably the furthest north we've seen this entire season for some areas. Tornado risk, 5% chance there, so pretty good shot there of seeing some tornadoes for, again, that Tennessee and Ohio River Valley region. Now, for wind, you have a 15% chance there for many of those areas that were also in that slight risk. Now, for hail, a little bit more confined, but there for Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, and there into Missouri. Now, here's for your day 3 severe thunderstorm outlook, and by this point, you have you have that system that's all the way up in Canada dragging along. You have this low pressure, you have this front moving along, and you actually see some severe weather popping up through Texas because of that. You also see this system starting to move out, and you start to see severe weather for the I-95 corridor all the way down from South Carolina all the way up to Massachusetts there. Now, here is your modeled forecast. Now, here's for the high resolution European model. Now, here's basically where we are right now. You're seeing some thunderstorm activity, and really, it's going to be a very tight band of thunderstorms for the most part for today, at least in terms of your severe weather. But as you get into tomorrow, we'll continue this, and you start to see this system, this upper level low pressure system, moving well to your north. But you're actually going to get rain all the way up to the Canadian border, and you're going to be seeing that rain dragging south, and you will actually see, when you see those little bands or these little splots of some heavy rainfall, that's indicating where the European is picking up on some severe weather or some heavier downpours, and usually those would be embedded with some severe thunderstorms, so definitely that is something to look out for. So when you see that sporadic thunderstorm activity, this would be by Thursday night, and it's crossing the border from Missouri to Illinois by this point, and you're seeing that heavier rainfall continuing overnight on Thursday, and now getting into Friday, heavier rainfall, more sustained heavy rainfall. I don't think over as you get further to the north past about central Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, you'll see too much severe weather, but definitely to the south of there, you'll get quite a bit of severe weather. If you live north of there, just expect some rainfall that'll be light to moderate, maybe some heavier downpours mixed in, but nothing that should be too severe. You might actually get some blowing, some heavier winds, but definitely nothing that's going to be in the form of lightning or thunder for the most part over those areas. Now, as we get into Friday morning, you start to see, again, look at that embedded thunderstorm activity that we're seeing. You see these little lines and little dots of very heavy rainfall. That's indicating where the model is picking up on a supercell developing, and a supercell is really those really large thunderstorms that you look for when you want some severe weather, and those are some that can actually spawn tornadoes. So that's something that's very dangerous, and you see mainly popping up there for Kentucky and Tennessee, some of those areas that were hit by those tornadoes just about a week or two ago. So unfortunate to see that they're gonna unfortunately get some more severe weather come probably by Friday morning, overnight on Thursday, Friday morning, unfortunately, when many are asleep, so it's harder to kind of get everybody awake if there is a tornado. So definitely it comes at a bad timing for these areas. You see it continues all the way from Arkansas to about Ohio, West Virginia. You see some pretty heavy downpours. Now as we continue, this would be by Friday morning. Many people would be awake by this point, and it's moving out into the northeast. And then you see this would be your next system. We're not going to cover this today, but that would be your next system for this would be by Saturday morning. Now, here's your total precipitation accumulation for all the way going through Friday night, and you're seeing again that splotchy nature of this, where you're seeing some very scattered thunderstorms that would bring about an inch or two in just maybe half an hour to an hour. So you would see some very heavy downpours leading to that very heavy rainfall accumulation. Now, one thing that we like to look at is your Cape and this is your surface cape, and and this is showing you how much energy you actually have in the atmosphere, and these are in joules per kilogram. Now you want it to get into this lighter blue, which would be about 1,000 plus, and that's when you know that you have a pretty decent thunderstorm, and that's really the threshold between a weak thunderstorm and then a thunderstorm that can really produce something. And as you get above about 2,000, which I went through this model, you're not going to see any above 2,000, at least in this model region. But if you did, that's really a strong to severe, very severe thunderstorm that the model would be picking up on. And of course, above there, as you get 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, that's very strong Cape values, and that's something you're only going to get really as you get later on in March, April, May, and then getting through the summertime until about August and September. It starts to die down as you start to get into your hurricane season. Now, let's get in with your Cape. You're seeing some scattered 350 to about 500, maybe some 750 joules per kilogram mixed in there. Now, this would be by tonight, and now getting to Thursday morning, you're seeing some of that lighter blue. That's indicating 1,000 plus, and again, that's when you start to get some pretty good thunderstorms. That'll be over northern Arkansas at about 4 or 5 in the morning local time for you guys. Now, as you get Thursday later on in the day, you're seeing some pretty good thunderstorm activity. Now, 500 to 1,000 still can produce some thunderstorms, just not as strong as, of course, 1,000 plus would produce. Now, this would be by Thursday night, and you're seeing those thunderstorms roll through. They're expending all their energy, and then you start to see them really die down as you get past Friday, and then really all is said and done with. Now, here's what I'm forecasting as far as rainfall, and then we'll go into my convective outlook. Now, this is going to be a forecast going from the 11th, which would be today, all the way until Friday the 13th, which would be, again, this Friday. And we are going to be going over your rainfall and your convective outlook. Now, we do have under an inch here for this is going to be your first and only layer of rainfall. It's not going to be too big of a rainmaker, and you will get some isolated 1 inch plus amounts, but it won't be for very widespread areas. It'll be very local, so it's hard to pinpoint exactly. It's really going to depend. That'll be something that you have to forecast just by looking at radar, and so it's something that you really can't forecast the exact pinpointed location of those 1 inch plus. For the most part, should be right around 3/4 of an inch to half an inch of rainfall, and a couple areas exceeding that by just a little bit. Under an inch, again, for many of those areas from Texas all the way northeastward into areas into the northeast. Now, here is your convective outlook, and I'm only going to do this for the 12th. I don't like to do these 2 days in advance because that's when it starts to get a little bit more dicey, and you really don't know what's going to happen for severe weather as you get about more than 2 or 3 days out. That's when I say really too far out to call any severe weather. So I'm only going to go for tomorrow, which would be the 12th, Thursday, March 12th. Thunderstorm activity that's going to be going from the deep southwest, and then through the south central, and then into except for the Gulf states, much of the southeast, and then through the Tennessee and Ohio River valleys, and then maybe even there into the mid-Atlantic, seeing some general thunderstorm risks. Now, here's your marginal region, and this is going to be for areas into Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, through Missouri, Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia, and through Kentucky, and then a little bit there of Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and then a little bit there of Pennsylvania and Maryland, and then West Virginia as well, seeing a marginal risk of seeing some pretty good severe weather. Now, this is when it starts to really get more severe and really a lot more, you have to pay a lot more attention. This slight risk here, if you do live in this area, definitely be alert that there will be some pretty decent chance for you to see some severe weather, and this will be for Arkansas, northeastward into Kentucky, and then the southernmost parts of Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois, and then a little bit there of Tennessee and Missouri. Now, this is going to wrap up the video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turn on notifications as I do make these videos close to daily. Now, that is going to wrap up the video. Please consider doing all those things, liking the video, subscribing, and turn on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.